All right, let's talk about investing. Every time you think about buying a stock, there's this tug of war happening in your head, right? On one side, you've got the cold, hard numbers. On the other, you have that really compelling story. Today, we're going to get into why you can't just pick one, why the real answer is you need both. So I want you to think about this for a second. What's your style? Are you a numbers person? Someone who geeks out on balance sheets, profit margins, all that stuff? Or are you more of a story person? You hear about a visionary founder, a product that's going to change the world, and you're hooked. It's a really important question to ask yourself, because honestly, leaning too far one way or the other, that's where people get into trouble. Kerry Grinkmeyer, the founder of Best of Us Investors, put it perfectly. He said, the story without the numbers can be a disaster. And ma'am, he just hits the nail on the head with that one. Think about it. A great story. It feels so good, doesn't it? But if there aren't any real numbers to back it up, it's just a fantasy. This is a classic trap. People fall in love with an idea and they don't check the books, and, well, it can end really, really badly. Okay, so let's get specific here. On one hand, you've got what we call quantitative analysis. Just think of it as the numbers. This is everything you can measure, right? Revenue, profit, debt. It tells you what is happening with the money. Then you've got qualitative analysis. That's the story. This is all the stuff that's harder to put a number on. The brand power, the genius CEO, a killer competitive advantage. This side of the coin tells you why it's happening and how they're doing it. So here's the big problem. Most people, they just pick one. And that means they're investing with an incomplete picture. And that's so dangerous. You might get totally hyped up about a company's story, but if you never look at the financials, you'd have no idea they're actually burning through cash and drowning in debt. And it works the other way too. A company can have amazing numbers today, but those numbers won't tell you that a tiny startup in a garage is about to release a product that makes them obsolete. You just have to have both. So to really see how this works, let's use a company we all know. Let's talk about Apple. Okay, first up, let's put on our green eyeshade accountant glasses and just look at Apple by the numbers. Whoa, okay, so this is a financial health report card from Best of Us Investors. And just look at these grades. An A for profitability, an A for efficiency, an A- for solvency. I mean, this is basically a straight A student. The numbers are screaming that this company is an absolute financial fortress. Just incredibly solid. And get this, a return on equity of around 150%. That is just insane. What that means is, for every dollar of shareholder money invested in the company, Apple is generating $1.50 in profit. It's an absolute profit-generating machine. And it doesn't stop there. Their net profit margin is sitting around 25%. Now think about that for a second. Every time they sell $100 worth of stuff, iPhones, services, whatever, a full $25 is pure profit. That is just world-class. But, okay, the numbers aren't all perfect. There's a catch. And here it is. This is the potential red flag. The price-to-earnings ratio, the PE ratio, is over 30. So what does that mean? It means the market is willing to pay over $30 for every $1 of Apple's profit. That's pretty high. It suggests the stock is expensive. And honestly, if we were only a numbers investor, this is where we might just say, nope, too pricey, and walk away. But we're not going to walk away. Because to understand why that number is so high, we have to flip the coin over. It's time to look at the story. And let's be real. Apple's story is legendary. First, you've got that incredible moat. It's the ecosystem, right? You buy an iPhone, then suddenly you need the AirPods. Then the Apple Watch looks pretty good. Before you know it, you've got a Mac, and everything just works. It's a beautiful, sticky trap. And that's not even mentioning they have the world's #1 most valuable brand. They're constantly innovating with things like their own M-series chips, and their customers are ridiculously loyal. You can actually see the story playing out right here in their revenue. Yeah, the iPhone is still the big kahuna, about half their business. But look at that services slice. That's the App Store, Apple Music, iCloud. It's already about a quarter of the company, and it's growing like a weed. This is the proof. Apple isn't just a company that sells you a phone once. It's an ecosystem that you pay into month after month, year after year. Okay, So now it's time for the magic trick. Let's bring the numbers and the story together. Which brings us right back to that puzzle, doesn't it? Why on earth is that valuation so high? Why is the market paying over 30 times earnings for this stock? And here it is. This is the key. The story is what explains the numbers. That high price tag, that high PE ratio, it's not about what Apple earned last year. It's a bet on what it's going to earn for the next 10 years. Investors are looking at that story, the brand, the ecosystem, the innovation, and they're saying, yeah, we believe this company is going to be a profit machine for a long, long time. The story justifies the numbers. They work together. Now, doing this kind of deep analysis, putting both halves together, for a long time, this was the secret weapon of Wall Street. But things are changing, and they're changing fast. I mean, there's a reason, as the quote says, that firms like Goldman Sachs hire analysts and pay them $500,000 a year. It's to do exactly this, to dig into the numbers and the story. For decades, this was a game only the pros could play. It was super exclusive, crazy expensive, and totally out of reach for you and me. This combined analysis was the secret weapon of Wall Street. Emphasis on was, because that whole world is being turned upside down right now. So look, this is the shift. The old way? You needed a team of expensive Wall Street pros. It was exclusive. The new way? It's powered by AI, and it's accessible to everybody. We're talking about artificial intelligence that can read every financial report, listen to every earnings call, scan every news article, and put the numbers and the story together pretty much instantly. And the group that's really pioneering this whole shift, leading the charge, is Best of Us Investors. They're the ones using this powerful AI to deliver that exact same professional-grade research, the numbers and the story, that used to be kept under lock and key on Wall Street. So what does it cost to get your hands on this kind of Wall Street-level insight? What used to take a $500,000 a year analyst to figure out is now available for less than $1 a day. That's not just a small change, that is a complete game changer for the individual investor. So here's what it all comes down to. Investing with just the numbers or just the story, it's like trying to walk through a crowded room with one eye closed. You're going to bump into things, you're going to miss what's important. The only question left is, are you ready to open both eyes and finally see the complete picture?